Today in a special episode, we'll answer a question that came in about Jair's donkeys. Hi everybody. We had a question come in from Denise about Jair's 30 donkeys. Great question. The question was, aren't donkeys supposed to be for poorer people? The portion of Judges that we're looking at comes in Judges 10, verses 3 to 5, that makes reference to Jair's 30 sons that rode around on 30 donkeys. Now it's interesting, donkeys is one of the animals that is most mentioned in the Old Testament. It's not an animal that would be sacrificed. It's definitely a domesticated animal that was intended to help Israel in agriculture. First mention that we have comes in the book of Genesis, Genesis chapter 12, verse 16, says that when Abram went with Sarah to live in Egypt for a while, they gained the favor of Pharaoh. And in verse 16, then Pharaoh gave Abram many gifts because of her sheep, goats, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. So recognizing that Abram was an agricultural leader in Palestine, Pharaoh gave him donkeys to help him out. In chapter 22, verse 3, when Abraham was called to sacrifice Isaac, in the morning, the next morning, Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took two of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. The donkey was apparently a pack animal. Now, from time to time, people would ride on donkeys, but their primary use was to haul goods from one place to another. That means they were important for agriculture. Chapter 24, verse 35, when Abraham sends his servant to look for a wife for his son, starting in verse 34, Abraham's servant identifies himself. I'm Abraham's servant, he explained. The Lord has greatly blessed my master. He's become a wealthy man. The Lord has given him flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, a fortune in silver and gold, male and female servants, camels, and donkeys. Donkeys here is a sign of affluence. And to sort of seal that, chapter 30, verse 43, when Jacob returned returns from Laban's service to live in Palestine, Jacob became very wealthy with large flocks of sheep and goats, female and male servants, and many camels and donkeys. Now, frequently camels and donkeys are mentioned together. They carry the same sort of purpose. They're pack animals. You can load them down with a lot. Camels thrive in the desert. Donkeys thrive in the wilderness, not the desert. It's interesting to note also in Numbers chapter 22, the story of Balaam and Balak. Balak is the king of Moab. He hires Balaam, a prophet of other gods, to curse Israel. And in that story, as Balaam is moving to an area where he can look out over Israel and curse them from a high vantage point, the Lord sends the angel of the Lord to stand in his way, to actually strike him down and kill him. Balaam's donkey sees the angel of the Lord and protects his master by shying away. Balaam doesn't understand, beats his donkey until finally the donkey looks at him and speaks with a human voice. Why do you beat me? Haven't I always served you well? Balaam says, yes, maybe a little taken aback by what's going on. And then the Lord opens his eyes and he sees the angel. And the donkey says, I was just protecting you from your own death. In the book of Judges, Judges chapter 10 is the first place that we see this. But actually, next week on Monday, we will come to Judges chapter 12. In Judges chapter 12, in verse 14, Abdon judges Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode on 70 donkeys. So just like Jair, here's another man whose sons and grandsons ride on donkeys. Donkeys are a sign of wealth. They're a sign of prosperity, and they're a sign of peace. You use a donkey when you are farming, and apparently you use a donkey to ride around on as well. Thanks, Denise, for the question. No, donkeys are not for the poor. They're for the affluent. That's why Jair and Abdon's sons rode on donkeys. It was a sign of their affluence. I encourage you to like, share, subscribe on whatever platform you listen to this presentation. We will continue studying through the book of Judges, and let's find out together.